Joining me now is U.S. Senator Jon Husted of Ohio, who serves on several Senate committees, including the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. Senator, welcome to Washington Watch. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so we're just going through the news. Another vote today, no action, no additional Democratic support for opening the government. Are you hearing anything? Are you seeing any ray of light, of hope that we might see the government open back up?
I don't see any movement on their side. As you've heard Chuck Schumer say, he believes that every day it gets better for them, meaning politically for Democrats, even though it's terrible for the American people and the people who are working and not getting paid, including men and women of the military, air traffic controllers, et cetera. And you heard another Democratic leader in the House say that she knows that there's going to be suffering, but it's the only leverage they have. So you can see they see this in completely political terms and not in terms of what's best for the American people.
Senator, you mentioned the comments of Democratic Whip Catherine Clark. I'm going to play the clip of what she had to say so people can hear it. Play clip number 2, please.
Shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leverage times we have.
So they want to leverage the pain of the people to try to get the Republicans to come along with their $1.5 trillion in additional spending?
Yeah, all that does is reveals that it's really just a political strategy. I think we all know that Chuck Schumer is feeling the pressure of younger Democrats who think he's a failure as a leader, and so he's trying to prove to his political left base that he can fight back against President Trump. But fighting back against President Trump is at the expense of what's best for the American people in this case. And I think ultimately this is a terrible thing for everyone, but it just proves that they're not interested in being serious about trying to serve the American people. And I've voted, I think what are we at, 12 times I've voted to reopen the government. And we have some more pain that's coming with WIC and SNAP benefits and things like that will eventually run out for people. And we need to get the government back open. Remember, this is a clean CR that we're asking them to vote for, meaning that there's no politics in it, no games. We're spending at Biden era levels in these agencies. So why should they be against that? And it would only create funding through November the 21st, at which time we will have to go through this again. So even if you vote for the CR and you get people funded, then do that, and then we'll keep negotiating about whatever you want. But remember, the government is supposed to be funded by 12 appropriations bills that pass on a bipartisan basis through the U.S. Senate. We've done 4 of them, I believe, now, and frankly, we need to get back to work. But Chuck Schumer is going to have to decide that he cares about the American people and not just his own political fortunes.
Senator Husted, underscore the need to get back to the appropriations process, the normal appropriations, which has literally been decades since it's been done, over 2 decades. The irresponsibility of omnibus, automatic growth of continuing resolutions, I think that's what's wrong with this one in the eyes of the Democrats, is that it's just flat spending. But the backdrop to all of this is a record $38 trillion debt that the United States has. How do we get that under control?
Well, I've been here 10 months, and it's been one of the most perplexing issues that I have faced since I was here. My maiden floor speech was about the responsibility that we have as leaders to not be takers, but to leave an inheritance of a nation that our children will have a chance to prosper. But instead, we run up all of this debt as a nation that undermines America's future. And it's very difficult because, just like we're trying to get the government open, it's a 60-vote process to make any substantial change on this front. And right now, we can't even get the government open. The Democrats wanted to spend, by the way, I should note this when we're talking about the debt, they wanted as a condition for their votes and what they offered a $1.5 trillion in additional spending that would have created opportunities for illegal immigrants to have their health care paid for in this country. So that's what they want. They're trying to jack up spending more and more with everything that they do, which is counter to what we really need to do, is to get our spending in order. And to do this, by the way, I'm happy to do it on a bipartisan process. Well, as the Senate process of 60 votes and minority rights gives you, but you can't just, as Chuck Schumer, I'm using his own words, he said he won't negotiate with a gun to his head. So why would he expect us to do the very thing that he swore he wouldn't do?
Exactly. But you're right to point that out, because that's how we got to $38 trillion in debt, is these leveraging points where in order to vote for this, they want more money spent. I commend the Republicans for holding the line on this. It's the first time I've seen it in 20 years where they've held the line on spending, and that's the issue here with whether or not the government opens back up. All right, Senator, we just have less than a minute left. I want to ask you a question. I want to actually make a statement, but I'll ask a question with it. You joined 50 of your Republican colleagues in the Senate earlier this month in sending a letter to the Department of Health and Human Services and the FDA asking them to suspend distribution of the abortion drug mifepristone and the new generic that has been issued. This is an important issue to you.
Yeah, it's a very important issue to me. For those of you that don't know about my background, which is probably most of your listeners, I started out life in a foster home. My birth mother faced a lot of pressure to have an abortion. Instead, she had an adoption, and that's the only reason I'm here, because of her courage. And so the sanctity of life and helping to support the children born and unborn is an important issue to me. And a lot of the abortion drugs that are out there are not safe for women.
Right.
Misleading information out there, and we need to make sure that they have all the facts.
Senator, we want to get you back on the program again soon and hear that entire story. Senator Husted of Ohio.